you have to see as like that 15, 16, more like when I was 16. Like I had to hear these sometimes bad news, digest it, and then translate it, and then tell it to my parents, and evidently like upset them.
Yeah.
Because it was some harder news or some harder things to translate at times.
And that's usually the job of a parent, to shield the child from.
Yeah.
It's not your responsibility to worry about like the finances or what's to come in the future. Welcome to So Where Are You From? I'm your host, Nooshin Bagheri, a first-generation Iranian American by identity and an immigration attorney by profession. Today I have another lovely guest here and also a friend of mine, Miss Aida Moradsamiei. And she is a critical care certified registered nurse, but is also currently pursuing her doctorate of nursing practice as a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. Very specialized.
Very specific.
Very specific. But that sounds so interesting, especially the concept of mental health. It's everywhere. It permeates to all aspects of life.
True.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Thank you for coming in. I see, you're ready.
And my plus one.
Your plus one that's soon to arrive. Hopefully all goes well. You're at the finish line.
Very much so.
So as I ask all my guests, the question is, so where are you from?
Where I'm from? I was born and raised in Iran. And at the age of 15, I was brought here by my parents, kicking and screaming, of course, as any teenager would.
Yes.
And I've been living here, and I think now that more than half my life has been here.
Already?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, it just seemed like yesterday when I first met you, you were 18. Yeah. That just seems ages ago, but it's already been almost half your life. So
It has been.
So would you consider here home?
It's very bizarre because when I go back to visit, over there has a sense of home that it brings your childhood, the time that you were worry-free, didn't have to think of anything, all the worries that, that adulthood has.
You had like a childhood, an actual childhood.
Yes, I think that was the last time that I didn't have to worry about anything.
Yeah.
So when I go back, I have that sense, but then I just can't relate to many things that they lived through.
Okay.
So I can't say that that is my home or this is my home. I can relate to this side more, but that was where when I picture my childhood, that resonates more with me.
So do you feel like you assimilated and made this your home, accepted this to be home?
I think I have accepted it. It's more so in the past, 3-4 trips that I've taken there. More every time.
Every time you feel like here's home?
Yes, because I can't. There's stuff their daily life that they go through, the culture. I've definitely been Americanized.
Interesting.
But definitely I can see that this is more of what I could identify as. Like this would be more home.
Wonderful. Yes, you came at a critical age, 15. That's even a horror age. I have a 15-year-old teenager, the changes they go through, and they haven't moved, or you don't dare change schools at this age. Mm-hmm. But your parents brought you here. It sounded like you didn't really have a choice or a say.
Not.
And so they brought you here as such a, it's a tough age for a teenager. It's the time you're just feeling yourself out. You want to hang out with your friends, have your own environment. You don't really want to hang out with your parents as much. And then here you go, completely removed to another culture, society. How was that for you when you first arrived?
Definitely, I think everybody goes through that culture shock. And moreover, as a teenagers usually have that time that they go through, as you said. It's a very critical phase of your life that you're trying to create your own personality, have your own personality, but at the same time, you're learning how to slowly go through adulthood. And I feel like it was definitely rushed me into adulthood.
Yeah.
But it did have its benefits too. I think me and my mom were not close prior to that because she was really involved with her sisters, her family, and I had all of my friends. And then once we were brought this opportunity to come here, she lost her support. I lost my people, and then
We just
had each other, and now it's been just. I think if there
a
was
blessing in disguise.
Definitely the biggest one.
That's amazing.
One of the bigger ones.
That's really cool because in a previous episode, I had a counselor here, and she was saying, yes, it can either bring a family together or it could bring them apart. And that's wonderful to see that, you used each other as a support. Did you see your mom change, like become a better communicator or one of like bond with you more? Like, did you see that change in your parents when they came here?
I think prior to that, like, I would say that she was too strict. Even now when we talk, I'm like, you really were strict on me. Like, you didn't
Does she admit it?
Yes, she does now. I'm like, you really.
My parents still don't see it. They're like, no.
Gosh. No, I was like, I had very specific rules that I had to abide to. And I was like, you really? That's why I didn't want it to like interact as much with you. I was better with my dad.
Yeah.
But with my mom, like I really thought, I was like, she really doesn't like me that much. And then now we laugh about it, of course.
I think it's a normal mother-daughter kind of relationship.
Yes, and I feel like later on when we came here, a lot of it is also like during the time that we were there, like a lot of the society like makes up some of the rules that the families have to follow for them to have like a good daughter per se.
Yes, the judgment.
The judgment is very much there. It's really like, I think now that we talk about it, it's like I really sometimes didn't want it to, and I just had to.
Yes.
And I was the first daughter, like the first girl in the family, so she kind of had to make an example out of me versus everybody else.
You're representing them. You're
exactly. So now that we talk about it, it's just like we laugh about it, and she definitely says that she was. And on the other hand, like she had to, like we really had to become each other's friends because. Again, it wasn't a time that you could Skype your friend or FaceTime your friend or chat with your friend all the time. Like, and not that they would even understand what you were going through.
Yeah.
Such a different world. So I had her and she had me, and we just had to pull each other through it.
Oh, that's amazing. Oh, I know. I think like, mine, when they raised me, they were raising me kind of how they were raised. That's all they knew. And I don't blame them, but it is hard. It's like their decision to come here. You decide to have us here. And so there was always that clash. I don't know to this day, she still realizes they were strict on me, but I see, or how they imposed kind of like the Middle Eastern mentality on me, traditions. I don't know if they realize that and take that back. I would have to go ask them, but I think as they get older, they do realize it more. They accepted it more.
Yeah.
So did you feel like you were mentioning how when you came here, that childhood kind of went to abrupt halt? Like, how was that pressure on you you're the oldest, correct?
I am.
You have one younger brother. How was that pressure on you? Did you feel like voluntarily or involuntarily have to like take the lead of helping your family out? Like, because, kids catch on languages better. In our previous episode, a counselor was mentioning how the kids are taking on the bank statements, handling all this account. But yet in other aspects, the parents were like, no, you're still a child. So is that kind of imbalance?
I think once I came in here, like back home, I did have like a lot more, I knew more English compared to everybody else, but I hadn't used it.
Yeah.
So that was the difference. And that was the main thing that pushed them to ask me more to go places because I would understand it better. It wasn't like per se that anybody decided. It was just, I feel like I can't even, like when I was thinking about it before coming here, I was like, it was not even like a day that they were like, you're it. It was just like, that was it. Like, I can't, and I feel like I had to go to like...
You have a go-getter personality over the years I've known you, so did that develop after being here, or was that there before?
I think it definitely came, I think it was rooted by my mom. I'll give her that. Because definitely my mom was always working even there too. She was like a principal of a school and always like very active, very outside of her home. When in that society, like not all moms are doing that.
Yeah.
And even in her whole family, I think it's her and her sister. They worked as they got married afterwards. But I feel like I always saw her as like someone who was also a go-getter, like always wanting to progress in her career. But then afterwards here too, I think it's just shifted my mindset a little bit. back to your question.
Yeah.
It's just like, I think it was not a day. I think it was a time that they didn't have anybody else to go with them to like these places, and I was the one who would speak both languages. And again, it was not like we had a Google Translate.
True.
Like
we forget technology is not that old.
And it was just, or not everywhere had a translator.
Yeah.
So I had to go, and you have to see as like that 15, 16, more like when I was 16. Like, I had to hear these sometimes bad news, digest it, and then translate it, and then tell it to my parents, and evidently, like, upset them.
Yeah.
Because it was some harder news or some harder things to translate at times.
And that's usually the job of a parent, to shield the child from.
Yeah.
It's not your responsibility to worry about, like, the finances or what's to come in the future. Yeah. But you actually would hear it first and then have to project it to your parents.
Yeah, like sugarcoated at times.
Oh, you're protecting them.
Yeah, because like I don't think any child wants their parents to like be like sad or upset or feel stuck in different immigration stuff. And like I remember like one of the times specifically, like I'll never forget. I think my dad was in between admissions to different schools, and as at first he was like an international student.
Mm-hmm.
So as an international student, you have to pay out of pocket and you have to pay out of state tuition. Yes. And I think he was going through Mercer, and we were in between selling our home back in Iran, and this process was like not allowing us. We didn't have much money to pay $10,000 a semester for Mercer at that time.
Yeah.
So we had to go to, I think there's this institute called like Kaplan that you could go take a course.
Yes.
And during that time, they will give you like the I-20 that you need to continue your F1.
Oh, okay.
So we went there. We went to Mercer first, and they were like 99.9% you need to pack up and leave tomorrow. And I had to like translate that and tell them like, this is what she's telling me. Like, and then I remember within a day we actually had to like drive and go and like get admission. Like, thank God, but we did get the admission from Kaplan, and we were like, there you go. We ended up like extending, like giving ourselves like another 3 months during that time to household, and like everything else fell through eventually.
Yeah.
But like those were the moments that I don't forget.
Yeah.
That they were like, oh, 99.9% you have to like leave tomorrow.
Wow, that's scary.
That was. And you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then like how would they translate it to you after you translate to them what's going on? How as a parent would they try to soothe your worries, or they were just too consumed with?
I think I pretty much played the role of a translator.
Okay.
It was not but you have to see, it was such a, I don't think I even expected them to soothe me, because I think I always had a good poker face with it. Like I didn't show like, oh my God, we have to leave. Like I literal sense, like I translated what I was told and what I returned to them. But it's just, no, I don't think I needed to be suited at that time.
Yeah.
Or I didn't show that I needed to be
What about
suited.
now, and now that everything, you guys all settled in, like you say, now you've been here more than you've been in Iran, which I that blows my mind, because I literally feels like it was yesterday when I met you.
Now.
Yeah. Like how is it now? Do you ever I don't want to say resentment, like do you miss that you had to go through that? Are you worried? Do you ever process that? Were you upset that you had to kind of grow up that fast?
I think sometimes, every once in a while, when I think about it, because back home we did have such a, like, we didn't come from like lower income family. We were pretty set well. Yeah. Like I had my, like, I guess when you are set well in Iran, it goes by like having a house, having a car, being able to like take international trips. Like we were doing all that. Yeah. Like I had no idea that they were even like in the back of their mind planning to change all this, because I was a kid at that time. And I didn't know. Like they were taking us to Dubai to go to like the embassies. I was like, oh, we're going just to like to Dubai.
So you weren't part of any of the conversation?
No. I was not. Even when my dad came here, like he literally, like I would not forget. That's another moment that I would never forget. that he called, and it was like, I feel like they were trying to see if this is in their benefit, if it's not in their benefit, because they did have a decent life in Iran back then.
What was their motive then to like give that up and move all the way here, start all over?
When I asked my dad, he says that like he could see, well, we are very untraditional. Like he is very unreligious, untraditional. Like he was saying that, like, huh?
A unicorn,
right? I know. Back home, I mean, both my parents, like, they were like seeing where the country was headed and how there was differences between people connected, maybe like how people were treated differently regardless of their backgrounds, and very mainly on their gender. Like I think he was starting to see like how I would have issues in that kind of society, and also Aryan eventually. So he started to see, even though they had progressed in their lives in the best ways to that point, there was a stopping point.
Yes.
So they couldn't see past that. They were like, okay, we're good, but they stop you at a certain point. You can't become who you really want to become.
Yeah.
And then they came here once before without me and Aryan. Like we stayed back. And then they came back home, and these all were going on behind the scenes.
You're that mommy that are just going on vacation, but they're mapping out.
They're mapping things out. And then, they were like, let's just go on. I think we came abruptly, like within 2 weeks of our visa getting expired. He was like, just bring the kids. At least we'll make a vacation out of it. And then we came, and
we never
went back.
Wow, you never got to say goodbye to your friends?
I did say bye to my friends, but within a period of 2 weeks.
Wow.
And my one special friend.
Yeah.
When at that time was Ali. But I was like, I mean, it's just, I remember telling him, I was like, we are leaving. And he was like, just don't tell me you're leaving in a month. And I was like, I don't even have a month.
Wow.
And it was just
I can't
2
imagine.
weeks, and we literally left there. I mean, we didn't have, like, I think at first it was even their intention, just come here, take a visit, and see where things will go, because once you were coming in, you had like 6 months to figure things out, or like make a vacation out of it, or see what other options it was. But we just left everything.
Wow. And started all over. That blows my mind. That's like, perseverance of getting through. And like you said, I've known you since you were 18. And so how many years ago was that? But here and there we'll be in touch. And every time I'm in touch with you, you're telling me you're getting this degree, that degree.
Like,
you're going for, another master's. And I just like love looking at you in awe that you took advantage of what you could take from here, the education. You took the bulls by his horn and just went for it. And you, like, look at you now. Now you're highly educated. You have an amazing job. You're married. You have a baby on the way. I'm so proud of you. I mean, it just gives me hope for those that do come, because I always worry for those who come, like, or, even our audience members, like if they just recently come, they feel hopeless.
Yes.
Where do you start? Is there a chance to, from coming from nothing, having sold everything, financially and all that stuff, to get to a point where, you own your own home, you're living the life?
Yeah.
What advice would you give to those kids that do come, like, at the age that you came?
I think it would, I personally just was very lucky that I had many angels set in my path, including you. And you guys gave me a lift. Like, honestly, you gave me a lift, and there was like a couple other ones that gave me a lift in my life, that it was not, I don't think it was just me, but I tried to, like, I never looked at anything that anybody had as of something that I could never have.
That's great.
And whatever you gave me, I tried to, like, give you the same way, whichever way I could at that time, to give it back, because I felt like that was my way of saying thank you, because money was just like one part of it. Like, yes, I was working for some people that they were paying me, but it wasn't just that. It was, I tried to go and the way I could.
Yes.
The extra mile for them. And then I think in return, none of them ever treated me, including you, any less than of a friend, any less than of a family, which made me in return do more. And I think that definitely, that positive thinking aspects of it also, like, that things will get better. As long as you put the work in,
Yes.
eventually it will get better.
Yeah.
And if there was ever a downtime and like low point, yes, there were many, but the sun rose the next day.
Yes.
And you just had to like pick up and go. As long as you have your support system.
Yes.
And that support system could be your mom, your friends, or even you, just by writing it out. I think it was just eventually I knew it in my heart that one day things will go back to a better place.
So now, in retrospect, are you happy that your parents did what they did? Or would you recommend they have done it a little bit differently?
I don't think they had an option. I think it was an extremely difficult choice. Now that I'm about to become a parent myself, I just think I would never want to be in their spot to make decisions like that.
Yeah.
Because like my dad went back to school at age 45 in a university that he was speaking their language at that time, but not fully.
Yeah.
But I just think that I don't know how I would have handled it, but I think they handled it the best way they knew how.
Yeah.
And because of them, I can have this baby in this world, and this is all he would know.
Yes.
And he will hopefully like take it also and make it better and pass it along to the next person.
Yes.
But I think their decision was extremely difficult. I don't know if
Would you, now that you're soon to be a mom, if you were in that position to make that decision, would you let your kids know, or you just kind of like grab them by the hair and like take off?
I'll be like, let's go. I don't know. I hope I never have to be in that position.
Do you think the results would have been different if you knew about moving? Like, would you have had a say? Like, what do you think? Like,
I don't think I would have a say regardless. We're talking about Persian parents. Yes. When you were a teenager, that I could barely choose what I wear. Yeah. So I don't think I would have a say regardless. Yeah. But I don't know. I feel like it was such a unique situation for them that I just think that like every once in a while I'm like, Mom, like, what were you thinking? Going and just like with 2 kids, it was just not easy. Or like
so brave
sending us to school here that like they didn't know nothing about.
Are they happy with the decision? Because they left everything behind. You said your mom had her own great support system and family, and that she left her lifestyle that was already set up. They worked hard for. Does she have any regret, or does she miss that?
I think the same way that maybe I sacrificed my teenage years and my younghood. They sacrificed the prime of their lives, and they chose to redo it. Because now I could say that I'm like a few years behind them, but they had their careers going. They were at the time that they could do whatever they wanted to do, go wherever they wanted to do, like to go as far as like travel goes. And they put that on pause, like their friends and everything, for a better future for me and Ariane eventually. Yeah. Of course they benefited from it too now. But I think they also sacrificed their prime of their lives. Yeah. I don't know if there is much regret to it given what's going on back home right now. True. But through the process, I'm sure there were days that they were like, God, I wish I could just like go to a mehuni or like go to a party or go to like hang out with my sisters. Like, But eventually, like, technology helped a lot with the FaceTime and calling. She misses the most, like, the years that she could have had with her mom. Okay. And now her mom is, like, much older, and the things she wants to do, like, she can't. Yes. But I think those are the times that she really had to sacrifice, like.
Do you feel indebted to them that they gave all that up for a better future for you?
Oh, absolutely. I think everything.
Do you feel that guilt? Like as a kid, like I was born here, so my parents came, they made a decision to come here, but I still feel that guilt because they left there. They don't have any relatives. They don't have their brothers or sisters. Mm-hmm. Everyone's back home. And so I feel that indebtedness still, to them that they're by themselves. Yeah. And so, I have to make sure. That's why I moved back to Atlanta. I didn't, I was born and raised here. I wanted to get out of here. But it's like I'm here still just because of them, because I can't abandon them. Yeah. But I feel that indebtedness to them still.
I think I definitely feel indebted to them as well. I feel like they...
I don't think they expect it of me, but I just feel that for all that they've done, you know?
Yeah, then and I wouldn't have, like, all I have, literally in every sense possible, if it wasn't because of them and because of what they did and because of what brave choices they had to make. I mean, I was just a facilitator in the middle of all that, like, just translating, true. But, like, they were the one, like, making, like, these really, really difficult decisions for their family.
Yeah.
So every once in a while in my head, I'm like, okay, well, they chose that. So when she talks about, like, going back there and living there, like, when she's retired.
Yeah.
I'm like, but you're my mom. You're supposed to stay here. Like, then I'm like, no, this is maybe her time to go to, like, where she wants to go. But still, I tell her she
mom,
can't.
she's been here, like, over 50 years. She's still, I remember... it was probably a couple years ago where the check-in desk, she was going to go visit her family. And the check-in desk asked her here in the U.S., she's like, where are you going? She's like, home. I'm like, Mom, but home is here. But, you know, home is, you know, where family is, where they grew up. That is their home. It's probably here's my home, but over there's still home for them. It's not like she didn't appreciate being here and all the opportunities, but that's where their heart is. They want to go back home. Eventually, they're like, okay, we've done our part. And I could see my mom eventually going back, and she earned it. I mean, she deserves that moment.
Absolutely. So when she goes, like, summer times, I'm like, okay,
go
be with your mom.
Yes.
But just make sure at the end of summer you're coming back.
I know. I always worry, is my mom going to come back or not? I was like, every time.
Exactly.
So here's one last food for thought. So a lot of people don't know this, but when I was 15, my dad sent my mom, me, and my sister to go live in Iran for a year. And that was my freshman year of high school. It was like no say, didn't understand why, took us there. You know, in hindsight, once again, you see the reasoning, and I have to give it to him. But it was tough because I'm in a whole new system. We went to school, so it was like an international school, but everything was in Farsi. My Farsi wasn't that you know, prevalent, that proficient. So it was a great year. It was a great year because I got to know my relatives more because, you know, every time we go for the summer breaks, it's so short. They don't get to know you. You don't get to know them. But that one year, we really got to know them. I got to learn the culture. Got to a point that if I had to live there, I could live there. But then once in a while, my American quote-unquote privileges would pop out. And, like, my mom would shun me on that. And I'm like, but you can't shun me on that because I was raised here. You know, this is where I grew up. Such as one thing that I at times would have a difficult thing to adjusting to was private space. That was always hard. Like, you know, just having a space to myself. Like, I love it. I love the communal familia feel that they have over there. You know, it's a village. You're with your family all the time. But once in a while, it's just that concept of a private space, your own room, your own little closet, something of yours. And at times that would, like, you know, get me. So if you were to go back, now that you say you're a little bit more Americanized, what part of your Americanness will, like, kind of clash going there?
A lot Americanized. Because I'm definitely, the more I went there, I think personal space outside, like this society, like, I would go to grocery store, like, I would probably stand there for the rest of the day because everybody would cut through you.
Oh, yes, the concept of lines don't exist.
And I'm like, what is going on? I'm standing and they're like, oh, no, you have to push them and go in front and just, like, get your thing and go out.
That does get me too, yeah.
That definitely is one. The money and zeros, I do not understand. Yes. I would like to think that I'm good at math, but their money, I do not understand.
Like, I'll show the money. I'm like, just take what you need. I don't understand this.
That's literally what I did. Last time I was like, just take it. And my cousin was like, don't ever do that again. And I was like, I'm sorry. I'm literally giving them like either $1 for something that is 10 or $100 for something that is 10.
Yeah.
Because I cannot keep up with zeros and how many zeros they have. And another thing is that how much they suppress women. It gets under my skin so bad.
You see it more. Do you see it more now, like that you've been on the outside, living the outside, than you think you have seen it there?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think they're even, like, family-wise, they're trying to, like, be suppressive. But I would be like, yeah, I'm going to go downstairs to, like, buy something or go for a walk. And they'll be like, oh, no, you need a guy with you. And I'm like, I don't need a guy with me. I got this. Yes. And they're like, no, you need a guy with you. And I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yes.
I just need a minute to myself. So I see a lot of that.
Yeah.
and I cannot keep up with this languages that they use now anymore.
Oh,
I'm like,
really?
I go and I sound like a perfect book to them, and they literally, as soon as I say hi,
Oh, you?
they're like,
oh
oh.
my God, like me, I don't even speak in the stores because they'll bring up the prices. So I'll look what I want, then send my cousin and I'm like, negotiate for that thing right there.
That
because,
is what I want.
yeah, that's what I want, negotiate for that. Because if I open my mouth already, I don't even look Iranian. So people think I'm already foreign,
Mm-hmm.
let alone. And so this was wonderful. I really learned so much more than I had known after all these years of knowing you. I'm so happy for you. Congratulations
Thank you.
on
Thank
the expansion
you.
of your family. I'm
Thank
sure
you,
your
thank
family's
you.
so proud,
Hopefully
and
we'll be
I'm proud of
behaving.
you. And keep it going. Good luck with school.
Thank you.
Never stop learning.
I know. I know.
Aw,
Hopefully we get
thank you
to do
again for
well.
coming.
Of
I really
course.
appreciate
Thank
your time.
you for having me.
Thank you.